Oh, yes.
We can't see.
They
Okay.
can hear us.
Okay. I don't. Let's see. Live. You need to unhost on your channel.
Hmm?
You're hosting somebody. Well, yeah,
I just
live.
unhosted.
Is it working?
Can
It's
people
working?
hear us?
People can hear us? Oh, who has the
sorta cut
stream
off.
open?
I do. What do you mean?
I'm hearing the echo.
It must be on the computer.
You know what? I think I may have the stream open on the.
I think it
streaming
must be on the
computer.
computer. 'cause
Let
this
me
is
go
on the-
check on that. Great start. Why don't we? Well, let's start. Let me do that
us a
first.
second.
Sorry about that, everybody.
It's live. Everything's live.
Wait, did you unhost yourself, Jeff?
It did that automatically once you started broadcasting. And then,
Oh, this is cool. So we're streaming to 2 channels.
is this going to come through? Is my audio from my PC
Yeah.
coming through?
So we're trying a lot of
doing
new
a lot of new
things
things.
in this stream. So appreciate your patience as we started a bit late there and had things set up incorrectly to start. But we are here. We are live. Look, hopefully the lower thirds work. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
My name is
Look at
John
that.
Balava. We have Matt Auerbach and, of course, Jeff Fritz, which you may realize or recognize from C# Fritz
Oh, yeah.
and his channel there. He does amazing live coding, has a fantastic community on Twitch. And I'll let you guys introduce yourselves as well.
I guess I'll start. So I'm Matt Auerbach. I'm also on the advocacy team out of New York City. We've been doing a few streams, like the monthly stream, and I've recently started the weekly stream. So I'm excited to have Jeff here, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Hey there, my name is Jeff Fritz. You can find me on Twitch. I am C# Fritz. There you go. You can see it down there below.
It's,
Yeah, it's right there, right there. There it is.
And yeah, we're broadcasting right now on both my channel and over here on Twitch Dev. I like to broadcast 4 times a week, teaching people how to write software, how to specifically C#. Go figure. A personal favorite language of mine, but taking time, walking through some of the basics of development, some intermediate topics, and every now and again, I bring in a guest from Microsoft or somebody from the community to go into some more advanced topics.
Yeah, and I would say you're an inspiration to us to finally do that ourselves and get guests on. So who more appropriate to have on than the
Oh,
person
thank you
who
so
gives
much.
that
That's very
inspiration.
kind of you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Matt, why don't you break it down of like what we're going to be talking about today?
Yeah, sounds good. So we have a few different segments here. So the first segment is going to be a little more general, just about how to stream development in general. So Jeff will talk about things like how he compares streaming software development to gaming, which is obviously a big segment on Twitch.
Sure.
We'll also talk about sort of how that intersects with IRL and like just chatting here, and then.
Thank you,
also-
Robert Tables.
I feel bad that the alert is over Jeff at the moment.
It's
so
a
I feel
nice
like that's
shirt.
another.
I thought that was gonna be
Broadcasting
lower
Robert
down.
Tables right
yeah,
here.
it was meant to be. Let me
Absolutely.
fix
You might
that
wanna
as
move that.
well.
But in this segment, we'll talk about sort of how to grow your channel, sort of like the path to partner, talk about some best practices, some
Okay.
gotchas, things like how to handle secrets. So that would be one segment. The other segment, we'd love to dive into actual setup and really think about how folks who are just starting off, who may just be like a one-off dev, maybe aren't like working for a big organization, can sort of start streaming on their own, as well as also thinking about folks who are working at like larger organizations who want to sort of put their company's APIs and platform out there.
Not just those types of folks, but also like the open source programmer, right? Those
Totally.
folks who, they're working on a cool library or a cool tool, and they want to share a little bit of their process and get feedback from their community. It's a great facility to have on Twitch to get that interaction.
Yeah, so really sort of across the gamut, open source projects, all sorts of folks who just want to get their content out there. And then we'll talk about streaming on the road or streaming at events. So Jeff has a lot of experience streaming at events, and also John will chime in about TwitchCon Dev Day last summer.
Oh, yeah.
And then hopefully we'll have time to talk about some Stream Deck tricks, because I know you've been focused a lot on that. So
A little bit.
there's a lot of exciting things there. And then I think we're going to try to take questions as we go. We have both
Yeah.
channels popped up, so if you post in either, we should be able to answer them. So yeah, why don't we kick things off with you starting off just telling us a bit about how you view streaming development on Twitch and kind of where it fits in with some of the other aspects of some of the other categories.
Sure. So when I look at development or live coding on Twitch, it's really something that steps out from gaming or even a little bit of some of the creative streams that you see people do, where it's more educational. It's not recreational, right? When I sit down and I watch Ninja or Doc Disrespect or Tim the Tatman, right? I want to see them get the win in Fortnite,
right?
Get the winner chicken dinner, and you know it's 20 minutes that I stop in and I have a good time. I smile when I'm done, and you know I walk away, go take care of whatever the next thing is. But when I'm watching development, whether it's me, whether it's I see Clark IO is here in the chat, or Robert Tables, or No Opcat, our friend Suze Hinton, and they're streaming about software. They're teaching. It's a learning moment for us to collaborate as broadcaster with the folks that are in the chat room, so that not only am I sharing with them, hey, here's the technique, here's the product that I want you to see, but it's also them sharing, you know, I have this insight, or I did this one thing, had this experience, and it worked well for me, right? Or this didn't work well for me. Jeff, how do you work around this?
Right.
And that interactivity that we get from chat or from a poll or the other extensions that we have on Twitch kills it and makes it so much more than just a pre-recorded video.
Totally. So when did you get started, just to give folks an idea of like the timeline? Like when was your first sort of stream?
I started, it was the week of Thanksgiving 2017. So November 2017 okay. I started. So I'm about 14, 15 months in at this point. And it was right after I had come back from a series of events that I was speaking at. So as part of my job, I travel around and I speak at various conferences. And I had gone to a conference right near us here in the Poconos Mountains of Pennsylvania. There's an indoor water park that we were at and we were speaking at. And I met No Opcat. I met Suze Hinton there. And she had been streaming on Sunday mornings, writing a little JavaScript, working with some IoT devices, those Internet of Things circuit boards, and showing how cool it was to work with those things. And she said, you got to check this out. It's really fun because you get great interactions, and it's a way to practice your stuff and create those training videos, right? And get that interaction that you wouldn't normally get without setting things up, having big editing mechanisms, all that, but to just do that pre-planned conference session, but live. I don't know, Suze, that's kind of different. And then I went to Las Vegas for an event, and I met up with a couple of podcasters there. And they said to me, Jeff, you got a voice for this.
It's true.
It is true.
That's why you have the good microphone right now.
Notice the different mics. Yeah.
What can I say? So I was encouraged by them. I thought, wow, gosh, it'd be neat to do a podcast, but there's also this live streaming thing happening. Maybe that's something I can do. And I knew I had some time off coming around the American Thanksgiving holiday. So let me give it a try, see what's involved, download OBS, see what that's about. See what I can do. And my first streams were so rough. Oh my gosh. But I got in and I absolutely fell in love with the interaction. I had 5, 10 people stop by that first stream, right? And everybody, right, you start in the single digits with your first stream or two. And just those base interactions, having folks stop by and say hello and this is really neat, I like what you're doing, or can you show me more about, right? When they ask those leading questions, that's what really gets me going is, oh, yeah, let me go off script now. I didn't want to do that, but now I'm going to go. And I was hooked. After the first episode, I got hooked. I wanted to do an open source project so people could ask questions, open issues, and then I started getting pull requests, right? Wow. And in the open source community, that's how you know you've arrived, because now people are saying, here's something that'll help you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And okay, that was it. Now this is a thing.
Yeah. So did you feel like, because I feel like I was setting up for myself when I started streaming, and certainly around coding, you put up these fake obstacles for yourself, where you have this preconceived notion that if you were to stream, that you have to be perfect, you have to be giving a tutorial that's no problems going through it. And
you know what? Some of the best streams I've done have been where something bad happens, and how do we recover from that? And a colleague of mine, a brilliant developer, she told me that people learn the most when they're trying to poke holes, when they're trying to figure out what did you do wrong as the instructor, right? And her name's Kathleen. Kathleen told me, you know, when people are trying to figure out what you did wrong, what do they know that you don't? That's when they learn. That's when they start to comprehend and understand things. So that gave me the courage to say, you know what? It doesn't matter if Visual Studio doesn't behave properly today. You know, this isn't compiling right. I spend an hour debugging a missing semicolon somewhere. Fine.
Yeah.
We all go through that.
That's painful.
Right.
I've had to do that, and that's tough.
Or to have that, like, that, you know, you don't know everything, right? It's okay to Google something. It's okay to find answers on Stack Overflow.
And
whatever.
chat is really helpful. Have you found experiences where I'm always surprised people find the bugs before I do?
They do. And I like to refer to the folks in my chat as my pair programmers.
Yes.
Right? Because when you're in that pair programming or mob programming mentality, you've got those colleagues, those other folks looking over your shoulder saying, oh, you should. And right, if you're able to ask them to go and, you know, hey, can you help me out and figure out what's the appropriate JavaScript library to do whatever.
Yeah.
And they come back with a little bit of code. Phenomenal. I was on stage once with another streamer, and we were writing some code, and somebody posted the regex that we were trying to figure out in chat. We're like, that's the regex we need. Let's grab that regular expression,
fantastic.
and away we went.
Well, and you had that when we were doing the was it chatbot? Was it chatbot guide?
Chatbot or building the webhook to go live.
Oh, that's what it was. And you're like, I wonder what the code would be.
Oh, no,
if
no,
we
it
were
was
to
chatbot.
add
I was
this.
trying to add a new chatbot command, and before I finished, the code was already in chat. So
yes,
that was cool.
Right, and you were using Glitch for that.
Yes, we
and
were
that's
using Glitch.
That's a great way to interact.
Yeah.
I'm a Visual Studio person.
Right.
So for me, using Visual Studio 2017, 2019, or Visual Studio Code, I'll open up and let folks look in on Visual Studio Live Share. So they're navigating around my code, and then I could make it editable, so they could make changes. But I have a feeling that's a little that could be a little bit of a security concern.
Totally.
Could be a challenge. So
people mentioning the Twilio.
Oh yes, that was fun.
That
Should
was a lot
we
of fun.
peek at chat before we move to the next question?
Always, absolutely.
Okay.
Got to keep an eye on folks there. Robert
Yeah.
Table's live share is absolutely amazing. It is very cool.
Is this okay? This setup? I know we're kind of not fully on our monitor here. I can
see.
I
us
can
here.
see. You can see it. But
okay, let's
I'm
see.
talking to you guys.
I
The
love
fact that
learning
it's on
with the
camera is-
community.
yeah.
Some people don't want to make themselves vulnerable on stream.
I like Partly Atomic saying, "Chat are my rubber duckies." Yes. Oh my gosh, that rubber duck. Do you guys have this where you if you take a moment and you explain it to, I'll explain something to my dog. My dog just stares at me like, I don't know what you're talking about. Will you give me a cookie? But taking that minute to explain it to the dog, I hear myself say it, and it's like, that's look what I forgot. You know, or there's. You know what? There's another step here that I could do. And the dog is just wagging his tail and is happy, and away we go. But yeah, that rubber duck mentality. It doesn't matter what it is, an inanimate object, your pet, and you interact with it, and yes, something clicks, right? Doing that with chat is another great way. Absolutely.
It looks like this might be a question about VS Code specifically, but what about remote code execution bug using search bar? I'm not sure.
Remote code, where do you see this?
It looks like it's on the Twitch dev channel. What about remote code execution bug using search bar? Will it be fixed anytime
You know what?
soon?
That's a question for the Visual Studio Code team. I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah. None of us know anything about that for sure.
If Clark.io is here, he might be able to follow up with you, Infinite Gotchi. Otherwise, drop me a line on Twitter.
Yeah.
Same handle, and I can follow up with you on that.
Oh, that's great. And Robert has a rubber duck on his desk, it seems. So that's
cool.
awesome.
Absolutely.
So one of the things I was also sort of curious about is to talk more about the content specifically. So how do you think about planning a coding stream? How much prep do you put into it? Do you write the code ahead of time? Sort of what goes into the planning and actually in the stream? Like how polished are things?
That's a really good question, because it looks like we're just doing everything live and we're just saying, we're going to go figure this out. There are times where I do want something planned out because I need to accomplish something, because either I have a goal or I have a guest, and I want to make sure that I accomplish something in that time frame. When I have that type of scenario, I practice, I script a little bit. I'll even put code off to the side in Notepad off screen so that I can load that up and bring it in. Or I'll put it off in another Git repository so I can load it up off screen and then bring it in as need be. So it's a little bit more scripted, and I know where I'm going with it. However, when I'm working on an open-ended project and I'm doing gamers have their let's play type of segments, right, where it's just them and they're playing PUBG, right, or they're playing League, and it's just you watching them play. It's not planned. It's not a scrimmage or a squad. I think of that as let's code. It's just me, and you know what? Here's the project we're continuing working on. Let's write some code, and I know what I'm going to start at. I know what I want to do, and if chat takes me in a different direction, that's okay. We'll figure it out. So I try and have a healthy mix of those two. But really, when I do have a guest, I want to plan out as much of that as possible. So they look good, so they get something out of the stream, and so that chat appreciates the guest. And they understand that this is what this person's able to bring, which gives even more value to the guest. And then they want to come back.
Yeah,
because they had a good time and they showed something off.
Yeah, I think there is that sort of happy medium where if it's too scripted and you've kind of just going through a tutorial, then the person could just take that tutorial and do it themselves. They don't need to watch you.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
I like how there's that balance of also just running into bugs and getting stuck and showing people how to get unstuck, because that's
showing people how to get unstuck is extremely valuable. I've seen other streamers that do here's what I'm going to teach you today, and it's a pre-prepared breakout session you might see.
It's a webinar, basically.
It's a webinar.
Yeah.
And that's not why folks are tuning in, right? They want to chat with us, right? Like Jay Mickey asks a good question. How do you balance interaction with the audience and actually getting code written?
That's a great question.
Well,
I'm curious
try and
too.
figure out where's that good pause place where I'm done making a point, and I'll glance over at chat and, scan real quick if there's something there that I want to respond to. Maybe not everything I need to respond to, but you've got to figure out where the appropriate pauses, and then flip back and forth, scanning back and forth. Yeah, Brave Cobra, we do need more rubber duckies. Thank you, No Content, for the duck there. Yeah. Over in my chat, over in the C# Fritz channel.
Oh, yes.
Cool.
Seems like some people are joking that having streamers or having viewers on their stream is like having extra coworkers. That's kind of true.
Yeah, you know what? And when we think about where the technical community is now, where open source is such a prevalent thing, right? We're sharing code, we're collaborating together. You know what? Break down the borders. Absolutely. Yeah. Let's invite folks from other organizations to join us. And if we accomplish something together, we're lifting the boat for everybody. That's terrific.
Yeah, definitely great to have diverse perspectives in anything. And how easy is it to do it over Twitch? I feel like I believe you said in the video that we did for TwitchCon, we were saying how amazing is it that of the different people you can connect to across the world.
Oh my gosh, right? To have it, we have a number of folks. I know some of the folks that are in chat right now. There's Finland, I see Brazil, I see Portugal, or where some of these folks are from. The UK, of course, the States. Terrific, right? I wouldn't normally be talking to these people and collaborating with them, but you know what? I get pull requests. Right? We collaborate on projects together. We talk about them in Discord offline. It's exciting. It's fun to have that community where we've all got a similar interest. And we're being productive together, laughing and having a good time.
Yeah, no, that's great. So it looks like there's another question. Looks like the general sense is, how would you talk to your manager or boss about trying to stream at work? Sort of how do you make the case for it? I know that's a question I've gotten asked, which is like, I work at X tech company and like I want to start getting our brand and platform and APIs out there. Like, how do I have that conversation? What are sort of the selling points?
So there's a couple things you need to think about there, because it boils down to a marketing decision, right? You're going to be broadcasting information about your product. Does it make sense to do a webinar, right? A pre-planned, very scripted webinar, and get that in front of folks? And that works for a lot of organizations, particularly in tech space, right? Whether it's Microsoft or Twitch or Amazon, right? Or Salesforce does this a bit, right? And they want to broadcast and show, here's how great the product is. that's a marketing decision.
Yeah.
But then to take that next step and say, we want to have almost like morning radio, where we want to be on a couple times a week and share that discussion, provide a little bit of first level support, not real support, but when folks have questions, hey, I was trying to use this and it didn't quite work right, or I'm trying to figure out how to, and you're able to give them a pointer towards something.
Certainly. And definitely like more casual questions that you may not even think of, okay, I have to go to a forum and then I ask this question and then I wait for my response. If I can just jump in and I know someone's going to be live, right?
Totally.
I know Thursdays at 2 p.m. For Twitch Dev now. You can jump in, and if you have those questions, you can easily ask them.
Right. There's a little bit of a challenge that younger folks in the technology field feel around forums like a Stack Overflow or some forums that you see on other websites, where they get intimidated asking a question, and right, you get immediate comments coming back. Oh, we already solved that, and they point to some article from 2010. That's 9 years ago, and you expect somebody who's new to the field to find that. Maybe their search skills aren't that great, but to be that smiling face on Twitch, right?
Totally.
That's eager to hear their question and answer it. They do this on Slack. You see folks do this on Discord also, but on Twitch, where now we can clip it. And now we have that video out there that they can download, and they can say, "Oh, remember when Fritz was talking about this, or John was showing us this thing around bots? That was really neat." And they can refer to that 1 minute clip, and they've got it. And all right, now we can learn and move forward. It's great. So look at those Twitch chairs in the background. Hey, Quill Tony, yeah, absolutely. So Quill Tony's a crafting streamer. She does quilting a couple times during the week.
Cool.
Really neat stuff.
Very nice.
So I'm seeing a handful of friends.
This is kind
This
of
is great. Yeah,
an AMA.
C# Fritz and other channels are brilliant to pick up some new techniques. I wish this platform existed when I was learning and teaching myself to code back in the aughts. The ability to ask questions and get almost real-time answers is awesome. I'll tell you the same thing too, because like when I was in college and even in grad school, like hackathon wasn't even a thing yet. Never existed, right?
Really?
Yes.
No. Oh, surprise. Really? You're that old?
Okay, yeah, John and I are showing this.
Hackathons weren't a thing.
No.
No one really did any. It wasn't really coding for fun. I knew I enjoyed it, but I still was like all my assignments. My like independent study was learning PHP and web development. I did on my own. But everything that I took into my career, I learned on my own.
Yes.
And I can't imagine how much more just knowledge and well-rounded I could have been with these resources we have today with hackathons and streaming and all those sorts of things.
Yeah. I mean, I had an Oracle database class in college. I had Fortran 77. It was like, you're kidding, right? And then a friend of mine, she gave me her copy of Visual Basic 5. I know, Visual Basic 5. Hang with me here, Chad.
Yeah. I'm not in my 80s yet, Alpha. It's okay. I'm not.
We're not that old. So, but it got me looking, and okay, there's something here where, right, I got out of those command line programming languages, and I got into building a GUI, building that graphical user interface with Visual Basic 5. I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. And then the web started really hitting, and I'm learning on my own PHP. I'm learning a little bit of Perl. And it
Perl.
Oh,
How did you get into Perl?
You had to. That was the thing in the 90s.
Yeah.
CGI bin, man.
I think I was at the kind of the end of Perl. Like I started with PHP. Well, this is a great tangent. I would love to know, what was your first programming language?
I think I started with Java.
Okay.
Yeah, you seem disappointed.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Again, what we were saying before, everyone's starting at different areas. It's just a conversation. I'm not.
Oh, now I'm curious for everyone in chat too.
Yeah, what's your first programming language?
Danny doesn't know.
And hang on. Well, Tony asks a good question for those.
Oh yes, I saw that. I
the
wanted someone to
non-technical
answer
folks.
that. Yes.
What's a hackathon? So a hackathon, Quill Tony, is when a group of software developers get together, might have some business folks, and you kind of plan and figure out, let's build a project together over a weekend, right? Or in 24 hours, and you stay up all night, and it's a marathon. Let's build whatever. I'm like Wodo Weasel. I learned BASIC on the Commodore 64.
Nice.
That was my first.
Turbo Pascal was my first.
Anders Heilsberg is a brilliant guy. Let me tell you, the couple times I've sat down and had discussions with him, amazing. Anders Heilsberg, inventor of Pascal, and also C#. Yeah,
It's a lot of fun. I did a lot of games that were just ASCII based. You know, you could do a lot of placement on the screen, but there was no major graphics.
I wrote the lemonade stand app, right? Oh, I'm going to buy a thing of lemonade and sell lemonade.
Oh,
and
yeah.
sell my
That's
prices.
Yep. Oh man, I remember that.
Yes.
But yeah, I didn't do Java until I was in college, which
Okay.
was a funny. I almost dropped computer science entirely.
Ooh.
Because because as a freshman in college,
Okay.
I think this will be a good anecdote for some people that if they're thinking like they don't know if it's for them. I went from Turbo Pascal, procedural language.
Yeah.
Went
Oh, yeah.
into college and I was like, oh, I've taken programming. Like, this is what I've done. Do you think I could do the advanced class, which was Java 1 and 2 in one semester? And they're like, sure. So I did it. Object-oriented programming, did not understand it. Could not get my head wrapped around it. And we got to the midterms.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, midterms are next week. And I was like, I don't understand any of this. And I couldn't get it. So I actually asked if I could drop back down. It wasn't too late just to go to the first Java class. And I had 1 week to catch up on all of the material. And I had the midterm. Got a 56. I did better than at least 2 people in the class. But I pushed forward in it and, then eventually, get to a master's, gotta say. I eventually got a master's in computer science, so I pushed through.
I'm impressed. I am impressed.
But there was a click moment for me when someone showed me something, and I was like, that's what object-oriented is. And then, it just laid the path for the rest of it. So I would say if anyone's struggling when they're first starting in coding, it's okay to get a 56 on a midterm and bounce back and figure it out and find your way through. So
yeah, I gotta call out here. Clark.io corrected me. Anders Hausberg, not just Turbo Pascal and C# but also TypeScript. I know we got a lot of TypeScript developers out there.
TypeScript is popular.
It's very popular. It works phenomenal. For JavaScript developers, they want a little bit more structure, more object oriented. Get into TypeScript type of interaction. So, you know what? I started in college. I was a chemical engineering major, and I got into my 3rd year. And it was all the calculus started crashing in on me. And it was, well, you need to do triple integral over this space because you're not only finding the area of the pipe, but also the viscosity of the liquid going through it. And that viscosity comes off of the elements that you need to learn. I was like, oh my gosh. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, I'm becoming a frickin' plumber here. Where meanwhile, I was loving the things happening on the web and getting my teeth into a little bit of programming. I was like, I got to go after that. And I changed majors. And it was traumatic to change majors. But I got into programming and it clicked for me immediately. It was like, this is what I need to do.
That's great.
Yeah. Should we go back to some of the programming we have? I know we had some good stories.
Sure. I know.
Okay. I didn't know where this would go.
Hold us true.
Okay, I want to bring us back now to so for the rest of
Buzzkill, man.
For the rest of the segment, though, I think we sort of touched on most of the things I wanted to hit on. Should you talk a little bit about any gotchas or best practices, things you've learned from doing this for a while, and then maybe we'll move more to your setup because I think people are excited to hear about that.
Oh yeah, I always get questions about my setup.
And then we'll plug your laptop in, and maybe we can show them around.
Might be able to do a thing.
Yeah.
So some of the big gotchas that I've run into are around redundancy. Right? When you're going live, right? Try to have some sort of a fallback.
Okay.
Right? What happens if this doesn't work? Right? Or can I go somewhere else?
In terms of content.
Not just content, right? But also a little bit around hardware, a little bit around production.
Okay, all of it.
So all of it. You basically have backups.
Right? I'm a little bit like NASA, right? NASA, they got a guy backing, thinking up stuff, and they got a guy backing him up, thinking about stuff.
Right.
And that was a line from Armageddon or something.
Backups and backups.
Backups and backups. So, right, I have not at home. I've got a machine set up that I stream from, but I've also got my laptop available in case I need to fail over. Something happens, and I need to. I've got another machine that I can jump on. Folks may have seen me do. I've done this live on stage. Where, you know what, this machine, for some reason, Windows is not behaving right. I'm running a beta of Visual Studio and something doesn't work. I've actually, on stage, shut off a machine and then swapped in another.
Yeah,
so when you're live on Twitch, if something isn't working, be ready to go somewhere else, whether it's content or swapping in a different piece of hardware and be like, all right, I'll be right back. I'm going to switch over to my spare laptop.
Sure.
Right? Or, you know what? These effects aren't working. The sounds aren't working. You know what? We're just not going to do that.
Yeah.
And I've got a backup plan in case that doesn't work. So having something that you can fall back on, and also having those hidden areas. I don't know if you guys have done this. You came close to doing this the other day, but inadvertently doxing yourself.
Oh with the Twitter thing?
With either your Twitter API key,
Slack.
Yeah.
right?
Oh, that.
Well, yeah. So we should always
okay.
be using our demo laptop, which is
Yes.
a lesson there, and that's why we have it. So
Yeah.
it
That's
is
actually
here.
not it.
I've
Oh wait, that's
inadvertently-
your laptop?
But this isn't plugged into anything.
Okay,
I'm
great.
scaring John now.
And Jeff.
And next topics.
I've inadvertently opened Outlook on stream, and it's like, quick, drag that off.
yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's if it's there one frame, that's all it needs
Yeah.
to be there.
Well,
So I make sure I have at least 2 displays, right?
Ooh,
So
I
that I
see.
have my stage display, and if anything comes on this display, it's going out,
Got
right?
it.
And so I put OBS and everything on the second display, and I'll even on the road, and we'll talk about going on the road. I'll have 2 separate machines for that. So
Yeah. No, that makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense. I think for us, the way I've been doing keys is John was sort of swapping to like a full view of my face or something, or just like a full view, not the laptop view. I also have been
Yeah.
watching another streamer who just puts up like a black box. It's a little risky because it doesn't cover the whole screen, but I've seen
yeah.
all sorts of things.
the having the Stream Deck and being able to just swap into that full face scene where
Yeah.
it's not your screen, that's the simplest, easiest
Totally.
way to do it. I've seen other folks that have a great secret scene or working in the background.
okay.
That's nice. Some colleagues have put together a plug-in for the web browser that will blur all the keys on the Azure portal.
Okay.
It's like, okay,
That's cool.
That's pretty handy, but there's other places where I use those keys that it doesn't blur.
Right.
Okay.
That's risky.
Oops.
Yeah, we've had that feedback on the Twitch developer portal that or console rather, where people would want to stream extensions, but
Yeah.
they don't know when they can show and not show. So that's
Totally.
feedback for us too. And
Yeah, some of those keys
incorporate.
to be able to hide it, and you, I don't know if you see this on some of the cloud portal that you work on, but there's a section where it'll blur out by default, right? It'll have just the stars for the key, and you have to click
Hit
a copy
show
button
or- yeah.
a show button
Yeah,
to
yeah,
expose it. That might be a good way to communicate. Right, this is something you need to keep private. and
Right.
the only way to get it is
Right.
to explicitly grab it.
yeah, and I think that's easier than having like a streamer mode or something like that, where you
Totally.
have different states based on if you're live or not.
Yeah, yeah. And Clark I was right. Some of those browser extensions aren't perfect.
So be careful.
So don't
As new
rely
features
on
get
them.
added.
Right, they change the class or the ID of the element, and then it's no longer blurring it. Right.
That's a gotcha. Should we switch to the next segment? So I want to talk, or have you talk a bit more about your setup. I know you wrote a blog post on that, so
I've
maybe
written a couple blog posts. Yeah,
you could sort of walk the stream through your setup and also think about folks who have smaller budgets as well as
Sure.
people
So-
who want to go all out. And should we switch to your laptop?
Yeah, I think you can switch over
great.
there.
Let's do
Yeah.
that.
And if folks in chat want to ask questions about his specific setup, this would be a good time. Or the Twitch dev setup. We could talk about both. So.
Yeah, yeah. So this is my blog. This is jeffreyfritz.com. You can also get to it at csharpfritz.com.
I'm going to post it in chat.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you.
Just since I have it.
So
Post it.
I have a couple of blog posts here where I talk about my setup, some of the things that I do on stream. Thank you.
Put in yours too.
Perfect.
So if you click to the live stream link here, it'll show you here's the current state of my stream, and there's a couple of blog posts linked at the bottom. And the first one that I have here is I call it Live Streaming 101, and I talk about all the various tools that I used in this was from about January, February 2018. And some of these were things that I already had. Yes, and there's even a picture of Jeff without a hat, some guy with hair.
They're all saying
I wasn't going to
know,
comment
rare.
on
I know.
that. You wanted to get on that.
I'm sticking with the C# hat today. I figured it'd be kind of weird to bring a Twitch hat to Twitch. I'm like, that might be a little too much.
Yeah.
The wife automatically said she vetoed that. Mrs. C. Sharp Fritz. She's my fashion consigliere. Anyways, but I had some of these things already, but you don't need them, right? I think any good video, whether it's live streaming or if you're producing a pre-recorded training video, you got to start with good sound. And I really like the Rode Podcaster or Rode Podcaster. I've heard it pronounced either way. But that's a really great USB mic that folks can use. If you have a gaming headsets are usually really good as well. Whether it's that Corsair has a couple really nice headsets that I've used. Plantronics has a really good headset that's Bluetooth as well. No wigs, Robert Tables.
I was gonna say
they're really
brutal.
hitting on my head.
They're brutal. This chat.
See that?
So I just did see the Rode Podcaster deck this morning because I went to B&H because I just needed to buy an XLR cable, and then of course you're like, great, I will get a mixer and I'll get you get stuck. But I had mentioned I worked for Twitch, and so the guy was showing me all these things, and it's actually very nice.
Oh my gosh!
When you have something that's set up like that
the
already.
The mixer that has all the various little all the gadgets to control, but you don't need that to get started.
Yeah, of course not.
But to get started, a good microphone I think is key.
Yeah.
Right, and then after a good microphone, I got an arm for mine because you could hear me typing. I was using a laptop at the time. So you can hear, right, if you don't have your mic, or if you have your microphone sitting right on the same desk, you can hear the tapping. Folks on video, you can't hear me tapping here, but if I was typing and the microphone was sitting, you'd hear bang, 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 and it's annoying. Oh my gosh. So definitely,
just like if you've been on any Google Hangouts and there's someone typing next to the microphone.
Bang, 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 bang. Or if they I love the mechanical keyboard sound.
Yeah.
But to hear that with the microphone sitting on it, it sounds like an earthquake's coming. Oh my gosh. Yes, Robert Tables and I are keyboard twins. We both have the same Vortex Race 3. It's a really nice keyboard. Computing hardware, you can probably start with whatever machine you have. Video power is really where things need to go. You guys know this. The Macintosh, all the Macintosh that have the Retina display usually have enough video horsepower to drive. But if you're using Visual Studio or something that has a big, heavy compiler there, you're going to need a little bit more processing power. So what I started doing, I ran a Surface Book 2 with a Lenovo Yoga.
Okay.
So I had two laptops,
right,
and I would use my Elgato capture card to go from one to the other. So I captured the video from my Yoga where I was doing my development, and used my Surface Book 2 as my OBS machine, my video producing, because it's got an NVIDIA card in the base.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Out it goes, and that works great when I'm on the road. But when I'm at home, I want the power, and I got a bigger machine, bigger video card, more memory, works great. But you need a little bit more power than just, a good video card when you're doing development.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Oh my gosh. So, and I'll carry around a Mac as well. Yeah, I have.
What?
For a while, I was doing five machines, 5 displays, so that I could.
5 displays.
I know.
You have like a suitcase as well.
I'm a control freak. I like to see what's happening. So I got a lot of video training when I worked at my church, helping with the AV at church. So I learned a little bit there, and I wanted to be able to see OBS on one screen, my stage, what I'm screencasting on another screen, chat on another screen, and the Twitch dashboard on yet another screen, because there's a lot of information on that Twitch dashboard that viewers who don't stream don't know about.
Right.
That quality gauge is huge for me. I want to know what's going on.
Yeah, I definitely love, and I love how you can drag in all the widgets however you want. Once they added that, I was like, that's perfect.
The widgets.
On the Twitch Live dashboard, you can actually drag all the components and set them up how you want.
Yeah. I like having chat by itself on one side, and then stacking things over to the left.
Yeah.
So, and then opening and closing them appropriately based on what I'm showing.
Right. Sorry, you were laughing at something. I assume it was because of chat.
Yes. Quilt Tony said Fritz is a little crazy. So I thought that was
a
funny.
little crazy. Quilt Tony does. Yeah, she knows. I can be a little nutty. So I like hanging out with the creative streamers, of whether they're quilting or sewing or chain mailing, like our friend Fairy Wings.
Oh, that's cool.
She puts together various chainmail pieces, jewelry, and whatnot. Really interesting stuff.
Okay.
So I'm a little crazy. All right, Quiltoni, all right. Dear Lord.
So you primarily use OBS or Streamlabs OBS on?
I primarily use OBS.
Yeah. On Windows.
On Windows.
Assume.
I'm a Microsoft.
I
guy.
know.
How could he?
I'm just. Well, I was gonna
that a
make
test?
a point.
But I do make a point though to do at least 2 months where a year where I'm going to do the entire month developing on a Mac.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I'll output from the Mac, right? I'll Elgato that over to to my Windows machine where I produce and send it out. But I want to make sure that folks, get some development on a Mac and they see, yes, whether it's .NET, it's JavaScript, TypeScript, everybody's welcome.
Yeah. No, that's definitely great.
Yeah.
I've just said my personal experience at OBS has just been slower on a Mac. Like if I'm running it on my own computer.
I've never
but
streamed directly on the Mac. I've always
Yeah.
done how Jeff described.
Exactly, and
which
that's
typing it through.
That's definitely a better way of doing
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And isn't there a new version of OBS coming that's better optimized?
Someone
Oh,
said
I
Were
that
they
don't
in
just
know.
chat.
talking about that?
Alka said something about that.
Oh, really? I missed that.
Should we put the lower thirds back? Because I see some questions about who
Sure.
works at Twitch and who
There you
doesn't.
go.
So
Raise your hand if you work at Twitch. Raise your hand if you're awesome and don't work at Twitch.
Hey, okay. The last part. At least.
But have we even mentioned yet that you just got a partner?
Oh, right.
yes.
We have not said that.
Can we get
Oh
some
my
hype
gosh.
in chat?
Huge hype
Can
in
I
chat
do
for
this?
this.
Will my sound come through? Can we do
Can we
this?
try it?
No, I don't think that's.
Did
gonna
that sound go
work.
through?
I don't know where it's going.
Do you have my sound coming through? Yes,
Yeah.
my bot is
Wait,
running.
did they hear sound?
I don't think this
I
is
don't
you
know.
enable
It wouldn't come
HDMI?
through us. No, that's not going into our system at all.
No.
Yeah, that is.
I-
Let's go in his computer.
I've
And his
got
computer is
HDMI.
screen share. It
Oh,
would.
I don't know.
Well,
so Quiltoni, my bot's not
No
running.
sound. Yeah.
So and I need some emotes. That's
we
the
need
first
some more
thing.
hype. Wow, we're getting a lot of hype in chat.
This is great.
Thank you very much. Look
yeah,
at the
no,
.NET
seriously,
bots. Love them. So-
super exciting.
I don't know how we went that long without
Yeah, I
mentioning
know.
it, but
I
I
was-
wanted to say, yeah.
Yes, right. I am one of the purple checkmark people.
Yeah.
I wanted to
Of
wait until more
recent.
people joined, and
Oh my gosh!
Oh,
Thank
well,
you.
now
I'm-
more people will join.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm flattered that recognizes partner. It's a lot of work. Gosh, and consistency. Somebody was asking about consistency. It's absolutely key. Getting folks to know when you're on, right? I mean, you guys were saying Thursdays at 2. That's when you're going to broadcast. It's right. I don't need to ask my wife, when's Game of Thrones going to be on? It's Sunday at 9 on the East Coast. That's
Right.
when it's on.
Wow.
That's when I show up in front of HBO and we're going to watch.
All right.
It's when you can rely on that, fantastic, right? Then you've got folks coming back and enjoying and participating. And I think that's key if you want to be partners is getting participants and growing outside your community.
totally.
Get uncomfortable. Right? I reached out to the creative folks. I reached over to some gaming folks and participated and joined those communities. And hey, you know what? If you want to learn more about this or you're interested in what I'm working on, I'm over here and we're doing whatever. So
I think we just created a new segment where we have, as developer streamers become partnered, they come on.
They come on. Yeah, that actually is interesting.
there you go.
Coming up with new ideas every day.
Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
if you recently get partner, maybe
Well,
we
no,
can bring it.
we'll bring
Partner of the week
Yeah,
segment.
partner
Yeah,
of the week,
partner
yeah.
of the week. Let's see. Did we finish going through? I think we were talking about software.
So I talked about
go
all of my
back.
crazy displays. I talked about we've mentioned OBS. I was using a combination of Streamlabs and some of my own widgets that I've built on my own. I've written a bot that will listen to chat and interact, and I thought that was a great exercise as somebody broadcasting to Twitch who's working with .NET. Let's learn how to do this. Let's figure that out and grow. And I've used some of those techniques so that we can help some folks in the creative community, give them some features and things that'll make their channels or facilities they're working with better. So programming is very creative. Yeah, we used to put programming content, like Quiltoni is saying, over in the creative community when we had communities. Now we're categories, right?
Yes.
I get those confused.
Yeah, this came up on Twitch Dev Weekly, the whole
Yeah.
communities thing. But yeah, no, there are no more. They're teams.
No,
Well, that
they're
we also
different.
have teams.
Just kidding.
Just
This
kidding.
actually happened last time too.
Yeah. Yeah, we also have teams. Teams are still a
Yes.
great thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, categories and tags. That's right. Talk to me, Gooseman. Eric's fantastic. Oh, my gosh.
And we have the Tags API recently.
Yep.
So that was a great
I
addition.
saw
how
then
people can use that.
Streamlabs.
So what can I
added
do
that.
with that tags API? It's not just show me the tags, but can I say, all right, show me who's now broadcasting under this tag?
Yeah, I should have known that before I brought it up.
Yeah, can
Sorry.
you go to
I don't-
I'm
dev.twitch?
asking. I'm throwing you these softballs.
Yeah.
So watch, our chat can
I-
be very fast sometimes. So if you ask chat to answer,
I don't
sometimes.
think so, but I'll have to double check. But I think it's specifically for
Can we get
a
an answer
channel.
in chat before John can get to it?
Okay, well, we'll just leave it up to chat then. But
They're normally pretty fast. This is a little slow.
Yeah. Well, there's latency as well.
Even
so
with
that's fine.
latency. They don't need much latency.
We're on that low latency config right now. Yeah. That's why I love programming.
I'm
It's
checking.
constant
Ian's
learning,
checking.
creating, and teamwork. Auth Zero
Oh,
Bobby, amen.
they want us to do our
Yeah.
job.
Let
How
employees
dare
check.
you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll work on that.
It is a constant learning. I really agree with that. I think it's cool when companies keep iterating and adding
Yes.
new endpoints because it just sort of never ends. Now with tags, you could do all sorts of analytics and
So I was actually on a podcast, the Confessions of an Angry Programmer podcast a few weeks ago. And this was something we brought up, and it's when are you done a product? When is that project done? So the Twitch API has gone through a number of evolutions here. V3, right? We
Yep.
Helix and what's the second one after Helix? It was
V5.
Well, you had
something
V3,
with a
V5,
K.
and Helix. And now the Helix namespace.
right,
And now
Helix
it's-
namespace.
which is the new Twitch API.
the new Twitch API, right? That's a very Apple thing. Now it's the new API. Well, what's the next one? The new.
Well,
API.
yeah. It's
It's new.
we
It's brand
It's
new.
brand
newer.
new.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but right, it's how do you know when it's done? Well, it's not done. It's going to continue evolving as the service evolves, and there's this concern from developers and from technical folks when you stop developing because you delivered all the features they wanted. Oh, now it's done.
That never.
It's not
That's-
evolving
that's-
anymore.
yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's dead. I can't use it anymore because you're not investing in it. Well, no. Everything our customers need works. What more do you need? Well, doesn't matter. You're not adding anything to it.
Yeah.
It's a confusing
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
catch-22.
Sure, absolutely. To answer your tags question,
Yes, what can I do with the tags
Get
API?
stream tags. You can get a list of tags for a specific stream.
Okay.
/ channel.
So I can go to C# Fritz and I can see that he's broadcasting
Yep.
with web development.
Yep.
Okay.
Or you can use it to replace the stream tags.
Okay.
For a
So I can
specific one.
update and say, well, Jeff's not streaming web development. He's now doing game development.
Yes.
And swap that
for
in.
yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the basic CRUD actions on
Well,
tags. Meaning you
On
create
a
them.
channel.
Yes. So you
Right, the grain is at
so
a channel.
instead of creates like adding a tag to a channel, remove them from a channel, list what channels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So feature request. Look at this. I'm making a feature request. It'd be great to be able to say, show me the list of channels that are currently tagged IRL. Mm-hmm. That way,
Yeah. Is it because RL is a tag?
think it
I think it's just chat.
Well, let's use any. Well, just
Right.
chatting's the
Oh,
category.
it's the category.
But it's
Okay.
like, what are
Okay,
you
right.
doing under?
I know-
Just chatting. Yeah.
but to be able to come through
Sure.
and to make
Sure.
that,
Absolutely. I'll have
right?
to
Or
look
to
at that.
request more bees.
Feature request. More bees.
Sure.
Always more bees.
it would be cool to figure out who to raid at the end of a stream.
That's a great
Oh,
point.
now
Brian.
that's
yeah,
cool.
Brian has a great
That's
point
That's
there.
a great use case. Clip
Yeah.
that.
Clip
is
that and
great
send that
feedback.
over.
Yeah.
Using knowing what tags are being used for hosting or rating.
Oh, that's
That'd be a
another
great-
one.
Yeah.
Are there streaming schedules in the Twitch API?
That's a great feature.
That could also I see being done by a third party today. I think that
Streamlabs has
exists.
a great
Yeah.
extension that I know a lot of folks put on their wall that where you set up, here's what times I'm streaming this week. If they could publish the API endpoint of, well, here's all the folks using our extension and when they're scheduled. That's something valuable, Brave Cobra. I think you got a good idea there for our friends at Streamlabs.
Yeah.
And if we made them CLI tools, command line interface tools, then you could pipe them into a sed script. No, not going there. Not going to sed and awk and grep. Yeah, look at that. You heart that. All right. I get it. Feature to random raid a Twitch team member.
Streamlabs API. Does
Oh,
anyone
Twitch
else?
team member. That's good.
That's cool. Random raid a Twitch team member. So talk to me, Goosemans.
Ooh.
So right, one of those features is partner. You get to build Twitch teams.
Yep.
So I built a team for live coders, and I
Ooh.
grabbed some of the folks that I've rated, that I've been friends with. We hung out at TwitchCon and grabbed an adult beverage or two, and invited them right away. And I'm figuring out who are the other folks we want to put on this live coders team. Clark IO's on there. Talk to Me Gooseman's on there, and we want to make sure that we have a very welcoming, outgoing community of folks that are teaching. Right?
Yeah.
It's like the Science Channel, but for coding geeks, I think. Right? So
Yeah. What is adult Kool-Aid?
what is
Beer.
adult Kool-Aid is also
Wait, I was gonna ask.
or margaritas
Or
man.
cider.
Yes,
cider
that's
for those of
that's
us who
true.
can't have beer.
Strawberry cider.
Were there any other questions specifically about Jeff's setup?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll
So-
go back to your.
Yeah.
No, don't go
compute.
back to
Okay.
that. No, let's not do
Okay.
that. Because the second post that I put up there is even crazier, talking about how I've upgraded things because my employer, to a question we saw earlier, how do you convince your employer that, hey, this is a good idea? Well,
Yeah.
my employer said, yeah, we want you to host a workshop about our product. And I said, well, okay, we need to upgrade some of my gear here if you want it to be if you want it to be a little bit more leveled up. They said, sure, what kind of budget do you want? And I gave them a number, and they laughed at me and said, sure, you can have whatever you want.
Wow.
That's
And
great.
So
That's
I
exciting.
got a little bit of gear, tricked it out,
Yeah.
and now it's a little bit better. So I've got a mixer, I've got a professional microphone, I've got extra
Yes.
machines and stream decks.
5 laptops.
And now we
5
backed off on the
monitors.
laptops.
Yeah,
they're
okay,
off on the
that's-
side.
okay.
5 monitors,
Okay.
yes. We gotta have all the monitors, right? So that's it sounds crazy, but when you see the quality that comes out of it, it's pretty good. And then every now and again, because they have studios on campus, when I do visit, right back to that point of consistency earlier, when I go visit the office out on the West Coast, I ask to borrow some time in the studio when they're not producing.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, the quality that comes out of those is
It's
phenomenal.
great. Yeah, because we have the San Francisco Twitch studio where Twitch Weekly shoots, and it's really nice to use that space. Because the guy who runs it, I don't know if he wants me to say his name or not, but
I wouldn't.
The guy who runs
Skippy,
it is
right? That's his name, Skippy?
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
Skippy.
Close.
Skippy the
That's
studio.
a little-
Actually, good close.
That's a little close.
But
I'm guessing here.
Yeah, he does a
I'm
great
thinking
job.
Family
and-
Ties. but
Everyone
okay.
starts Googling.
Yeah, he's got the whole TriCaster situation and does
Yes.
all the camera swift switching for us. So it's super helpful so we can concentrate on, when we're going live and just what the content is, and he takes care of all the production.
Pro tip.
Yes.
So the NDI plugin for OBS, right? So NewTek's.
Someone was just
Plug
mentioning
in.
this last night.
Yeah.
This is
what?
really cool,
Yeah.
right? So I use that with Skype when I'm hosting
Okay.
a guest at home.
Yeah.
Because Skype will output to NDI, and then you can bring that in as a separate video source directly from Skype. But NewTek NDI is the underlying technology for the TriCaster. So when I was at Channel 9 Studios at Microsoft,
Yeah.
we lit up the TriCaster and had it broadcast on one of their feeds. And on my Surface Book, I was able to, over the network, just pick off that feed and drop it into into
Wow.
OBS. So one of my camera feeds wasn't a camera; it was the
It was the
TriCaster.
whole system. Wow.
I'm like, all right, that's pretty
Talk
cool.
about
So
advanced,
here's the TriCaster
yeah.
switcher. She's doing her thing over there.
Yeah.
And I had the secondary switch on OBS.
Yeah.
So that was very, very cool, and having professionals like that in a studio to help you is
Yeah.
phenomenal. Yeah, Rambling Geek NDI Tech is amazing.
So, talk to me, Gooseman. How do I stream from my Mac to my Stream PC for development? Multiple ways.
Yeah.
We just have it. We have well, it depends on what you have in your PC, but we have a video capture card here, and so we just run an HDMI. That's what we're doing for Jeff right now at the moment.
So I have an Elgato HD60S.
I just got one.
It's about
It's
the
a
size of a
little-
deck of cards.
Yep.
Do you have it on you?
It's in my bag over there.
Yeah. Would you like me to get it? Is that helpful?
That might.
Just
But
to see it. I know. You can also Google it.
You can Google it with Bing. So
Got you there. Yeah. Yeah.
But
I do use Bing.
Fits. I actually use DuckDuckGo, but it fits great in your
Yeah.
laptop bag, and it's all
Yep.
USB powered. You
Yeah.
don't need an extra power source.
It's really easy that way.
You don't need right.
No, it
That's
runs
true.
off the
Okay.
USB power.
Crazy.
So really nice to make that last connection, and going from Mac to PC, phenomenal. The other way that I've done Mac to PC is I've used VNC.
VNC.
Right, so you get on the Mac, you can VNC share your desktop, and so your
Man, I haven't used that
your
in a long
desktop,
time.
your keyboard and mouse are all made available. For Windows folks, you think of this for like remote desktop, right? And from my Windows machine, I'll open a VNC client and connect into the Mac. So now it's all over network,
see.
and it works seamlessly, particularly over a wired network. Wireless, you can run into some issue.
Interesting.
Yeah, there
So-
was some VNC software. I think there was it ran on it. I used to use this back in college because I used to have it running on my laptop in the dorm room, and if I was on in the computer lab, I could remote into my laptop back in the dorm.
Okay, I didn't have a laptop back in my dorm room. I had
Yeah.
I had a Pentium 90 desktop running Linux.
All right.
But I'd be in the
Yeah.
computer lab working on whatever, and I would remote back in, so I'd be on my machine from the lab. Yes.
Yeah, and then I think we had a question about switching between mobile and Clark
Well,
IO.
that's actually a great segue to our
Yeah?
next segment,
Oh, fantastic!
which is called Streaming on the Road.
Yeah.
So I thought both Twitch and Jeff could talk about this. So John was involved in streaming at TwitchCon Dev Day, so he set up. Well, I'll let you talk about
yeah.
that. But we also want to hear about what you were telling me about in Vegas.
Yeah,
as one example.
so I there's two different ways that I stream on the road. Certainly when I show up at a conference or something and it's just me and I'm in a hotel room, I've got my laptops the way that I used to run things. And I carry 3 laptops through TSA, and the folks there stare at me like, what is your problem?
Yeah.
But I have the Mac that's running just chat and monitoring the channel, the yoga that's my stage, and then I've got the Surface Book that's actually producing, and I wire the Stream Deck up to the Surface Book, and away I go. But when we were in Vegas, so we did Microsoft Connect 2018 in Vegas at the MGM Grand. I'm going to name drop a little bit more.
Okay.
But we were on the second floor of the convention center there.
Yeah.
And they had a bunch of conference rooms that folks could rent out for meetings, whatever. So they gave us 2 of these rooms, and it had an air wall between them. So we pushed the air wall back, and we had room to set up 2 studios. And you might be able to see on the back of my laptop, I've got the studio
Oh, we'll switch to
sticker
that.
there.
Here, John, if you want to.
Still on there. You can see it.
That's
yeah,
helpful.
look at that. So we put this on the outside of the door. I swiped it afterwards. Shh, don't tell
I was going
anybody.
to ask you about that, but off stream. But
Yeah.
I'm glad we did it on stream.
I think
Don't-
I asked about it.
Yeah, we
did
mentioned that.
Okay.
So, so we had 2 studios set up, and we had a production team behind the wall of the second studio. And there was like 15 people over there. We had lights technician, audio tech, director, producer, and they were all over on the one side. And then between the 2 sets that we had set up, we had somebody working the soundboard and audio tech. And then we also had a camera director along with our camera folks. So we could point at one set on the left side.
Yeah.
That was Studio A.
Yeah.
And then we had the other set on the right side.
Yeah, it's
So we could
nice.
just pivot back and forth.
Right.
And I'm sure just like you guys had at TwitchCon, here comes that segue.
Wow,
You had
that's like a
you had
transition.
great camera people and
Yeah.
professionals taking all this stuff that we're doing by hand and doing their thing and just outputting to a stream key and an endpoint, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to hear sort of like, what was involved in that.
Because you made it sound like I set up a production studio. That is not what happened at all. It was a full professional production team
Like contracted
that
out.
contracted out. To
You weren't
set
up at
their-
5 a.m.
I was up at 5 a.m. because I was still my responsibility was the program.
Oh,
so
wow.
I did all of run a show for the entire day of who needs to be on when, what we're talking about, and put the outlines together and make sure that was solid, which was great that I could focus on that and not have to worry about production until I showed up.
Yes.
Like basically all I knew going in was what do we have? We have a desk and 3 people can stand in back of it. That's all I knew, you know?
Interesting.
And you show up and I mean, it's not everyone's going to have a professional production team, but they help you out so much when they can do that. And then they were also doing the main stage for Developer Day, and they were doing the switching back and forth and then giving us the countdown.
We
and
needed all of it wired. So hopefully
Yeah.
in Berlin there's a similar type setup.
Yep.
Yeah, right. This is why you contract in, and these people do this professionally. They've got a way to do these things that is phenomenal. We're hacks. We're pulling cable to our home PCs, and you know what? That commodity access to the technology is amazing, and we're good at it. But when you get to that level of professional production, there's a whole nother level there that folks in the industry know. And Roosh, thank you so much for those kind words in my channel. We appreciate you joining us here today.
Yeah.
I think
got
that's
a few questions.
Sure.
Blue Lava Production Studio handcrafted. It's handcrafted. It's just a chair and the mixer that we're using now in these headsets.
And the whole Stream Deck you have. You have
yeah,
a whole.
Yeah, that's true. I did put a lot of work
We
into
need to get you a
all
studio
that.
sticker.
He was whittling
that's
out
true.
some of this a little bit earlier, making that happen, putting it together.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. And then what headsets are we using on the sofa? I can't remember. I think they're Sennheisers. Yeah, there are Sennheisers. I can't remember the actual.
HMD26.
I really like them. I feel like.
Oh, you can read
those
it
are
off
nice.
the.
Yeah, there's a label on the side.
I think these are highly
I'm
recommended.
not just gazing lovingly at you here, Matt. I'm reading the label, okay?
Okay. Thank you for the follow, Aiden Wallace.
Yeah. So, and these are great. So these have 2 wires coming out of them, even though there's one. It looks like one, because behind us, what we actually have here, if I'll hold it up, is this amp that's sitting right here.
Can we get a zoom in?
A zoom. Yeah.
Oh wait,
Sorry,
no,
I don't have a zoom on
no
here.
camera, people.
But so what we have is the microphones are actually going into the mixer, and then the phone out of the mixer is coming into this amp and then splitting 2 ways. So Matt and I can hear what is going out into the stream. So if we were like, Jeff, you need to move closer to the mic, we can know those things, but he can't.
Yeah.
So they're very helpful for that. So you hear everything that's
Now the connection's coming off of the microphone. You said the microphone's going back. That's not a 1/4-inch jack coming off of those microphones, is it?
This is So this is their XLR cables.
XLR cables,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Which to the normal folks that are just using their PC to produce, right? What's XLR, right? It's that fat connection that you use with a mixer.
Exactly.
I had kind of a weird question, which was, when do you recommend people do headset and mic versus mic and then
and a separate headset so they can monitor?
Like, why use a separate mic when you could use a mic headset?
So,
because I'm kind of a fan of this setup.
It's nice having the hands-free. It absolutely is.
But that's hands-free as well.
It is, but it's also a little bit larger, a little bit bulkier to have to carry around, right?
Yeah.
Where the headset is certainly much more portable. Let me tilt this down so you can see me again.
Oh, right, that does.
Yeah, look at that. Now you can see me.
Yeah.
It's really up to you. I think there's, when you get to the cardioid mic here, right, that has the big diaphragm and you can hook it up to either USB or to a mixer, and you want a richer sound, you're definitely going to get a little bit more out of these types of mics than the headset mic.
Yeah.
So and I might have a little bit of a voice that can take advantage of that.
I do like the freedom of not having it on your ears, because these, for a while, they'll start hurting a bit.
Sure.
And if you don't need to hear yourself back, that's also personal preference. I like to hear everything that's going to go out. Some people, if they know all the levels are set and then they're fine, you don't need it.
Absolutely. But for voiceover that I do and for how much I want to monitor what's going out, I definitely want the headphones on, and I want 0 delay. Right. Sometimes, right, if there's settings on your PC or your Mac where you can say, let me hear what's going over desktop or what's going over. There's even a monitor setting in OBS.
Yeah.
There's a 300
monitor
millisecond.
As in voice.
Yeah, so you can
levels?
monitor what's being sent out.
Yeah, we have that, which is nice.
But it's like a 300 millisecond pause. It's just enough that it rattles you, and it's like, oh, that's. You pause because you're hearing what you're saying, but it's after you say it.
Right. Like the speech jammer. Have you ever seen that? It's
That's
so
exactly
much
what it
it's
feels
exactly
like. Oh
what
my
it is.
gosh, yes, yes, Clark.io. I agree.
Well, Clark.io had a question before about, might be a good question for you, John.
Sure.
How would you go about hearing your mic while wearing a headset without any delay? So I think he's asking, how do we hear our own voice?
Without the delay?
There is no delay.
There is no delay. Yeah.
How did you do
Because
that?
it doesn't go through software.
That's right.
At all. This is just all analog. The XML or XML. Jeez, haven't used that in years.
XML. We're done with
XLR.
the language question.
It's the markup for microphones.
Yeah. You have to use the markup language for microphones. No, XLR cables go right into the mixer, and then the output of the mixer is going right into our headset. So. What I should also say is the mixer is a USB mixer, so
Yes.
there's two outputs. The audio you're hearing is going out through the USB. The output of the mixer is just going into our ears, so there is no delay in that circuit.
So somebody was asking, you need XLR in order to be able to hear this. No, you don't, actually. So I had mentioned from my blog post I was using a Rode Podcaster. There's a headset jack on that microphone that bypasses all the software, and you hear directly what's being what it's picking up.
Yeah.
Now there's a slight gotcha there because the podcaster mic, it doesn't say it, but it's mono coming off of the microphone.
Oh, okay.
It's not stereo. So I was thinking I'm listening to music and whatever using the headphones plugged into my microphone, and then I unplugged it and plugged it back into my PC or through my mixer, and it was like a world of difference.
Totally different.
Suddenly I'm hearing the right channel. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Yeah. And which mic was that you said?
That was the Rode Podcaster.
The Rode
that I was
Podcaster.
using.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think the Blue Yeti also has that option. That is a USB microphone, so you don't, you can just plug it right into a computer.
Yeah.
And go. These are the Blue
This is-
Spark.
Yeah.
Which those are XLR
That's
cabled
XLR.
out, but they make other microphones that don't need that. So you don't need to go down the whole mixer and XLR cable route if you just
don't need
want to.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
And now I've done it.
Yeah, that's okay. I think I had it resting on the. Yeah, there you go.
Is there a USB mixer then as well?
To allow monitoring of audio. So is it the Go XLR mixer that we've seen? They had a huge promo at TwitchCon this year, where you can bring in various microphones into it and it feeds out. It's a nice little mixing board with 4 channels.
Okay.
There's a number of devices like that folks have cropped up with that are really, really nice. But check out the Go XLR. Our friend Chef Brent uses that for his stream where he plays Cuphead in the evenings and cooks on Monday nights.
Very nice.
Wow.
I know a number of other folks, the Blizz Pro folks on Twitch, they use that as well. So.
Yeah, is there a USB mixer then? Maybe that I said that after you asked that question, but that is how we do that.
That is a good question though, because I was wondering.
Yeah, the having a mixer, it isn't something kind of required, and I like to think of the Stream Deck as kind of my mini mixer.
Yeah.
Because not just controlling scenes, but also being able to turn on and off audio sources in OBS.
Yep.
That's a great feature that you can light up and configure. So.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff you can do in software in OBS. Every source has its own audio slider. So, if you're fine with using a mouse and sliding things, if you're sitting at your desk, especially if you're coding, that may be fine. It's again comes down to personal preference and what budget you have. It's just like it's either in OBS or like in this case we have it on the sliders because it's just one.
Yeah.
But then there's disadvantages because it's just one input. Like I was trying to figure out how to get Discord to work. While playing Apex Legends, of course.
Okay.
And I didn't have a way for my mic to not be the entire stream. So everyone in Discord could hear all of my music and all of my game sounds.
So were you on Windows?
Yes.
So on Windows, you can set, in the sound settings, you can set different audio output devices for each app.
Okay.
So what I've done on my machine at home is I have Discord, Discord in, and like Skype in, right? The microphones for those 2 apps coming off of a dedicated monitoring feed off of my audio switcher.
Ah, okay.
So now I can mix that separately and keep the game out of it.
Right.
Right? So that comes down on a different channel.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So many different configurations.
Oh
Yeah,
my
this
gosh,
could be
there is a
difficult.
whole
This
science
could
to
be
this.
endless.
Experiment, practice.
Yeah,
There's a lot to
exactly.
learn there. Hey, Potato
Virtual
Quality,
cable.
good to see you.
Good to know. Virtual
So,
cable. Okay.
If there aren't a ton more questions on your setup,
Sure.
were we done going through?
We can
blog?
move on to your next topic. Yeah.
So the next topic's a bit fun. So we talked about streaming on the road. I guess one thing we probably did cover was about one thing John and I are curious about is, do you always have the right to stream at events?
Do I have the right to stream at events?
With like licensing and things like that?
So it's always a good idea to ask
Yeah.
the organizers.
Okay.
Make sure
Yeah.
that they're cool with you doing it.
Just want to put that out there. 'Cause
Yeah,
When
it's a good question.
It's a very good question. There, some conferences are very protective of their
Right.
content. I'm fortunate that when I do go and speak at events and I ask to stream from there, they usually
are
go
happy.
along, because then I'll give them a little promotion of the
Sure.
event. But I've also run into some great scenarios where at Microsoft Ignite and at Microsoft Build, they actually have podcaster studios. They set up a little fishbowl studio
Ooh.
in the middle of the floor. And I know we had a little bit of that for folks that were streaming at TwitchCon.
Yeah.
But to have that at a tech conference and then be able to drop in and stream for an hour or two with a guest and talk about
That's really nice.
whatever, fantastic podcasters use them, and now streamers to share and get the message out.
That is, yeah. No, I think it's one of those things where definitely just double check.
Absolutely. Right? Don't sit there in the audience
Yeah.
with your phone. Yep, I'm broadcasting out to...
Broadcast, yes.
No,
Which
don't do that.
in I feel like in today's world and how everyone enjoys streaming, you can forget those things so quickly.
It is. It's easy to forget. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't run afoul because you don't want a lawyer calling you.
Mm-hmm.
That can be bad. Hey, Tom McHugh, thanks for the sub. I gotta
Yes.
thank. A
Oh yeah,
sub
of
over
Yeah,
course you have
of
to.
course
We've
you
also
do.
been getting a
2
lot of
months there.
follows.
there. Absolutely.
We recently added a alert for followers now, so
I noticed people a
thank
bunch
you
of
for
things.
following. We've been getting a lot of follows. Is that what you're saying?
Fantastic.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say all of the recommendations in here, from Voice Meter, which is excellent. I've tried that.
Virtual cable. Where was, I think
yeah.
Talk to Me Gooseman was mentioning that. That's a great one as well.
Yeah. Soundflower, which is now Looper, I think. I
okay.
think it's no longer maintained under Soundflower, and it's something else.
I
like
know
So they
Soundflower,
rebranded.
but
Loop Trackers
Okay.
thing. But yeah, and I Show You audio. Yeah, all these great things. You can try them all.
you're curious when you get an alert? Oh, you have to follow us.
So okay, can I drop a little promo about follows from my channel?
Yeah,
of course,
absolutely.
of course.
So I've got a follower challenge out there right now. If we
Ooh,
get to
okay.
7,000
Yeah.
followers
Okay.
on my channel,
Okay, let me put you in the full here.
What's gonna happen?
Directly to them.
Talk into that camera.
look at me right here. If we get to 7,000 followers on my channel before May 1st, I'm dyeing the beard rainbow for Microsoft Build. I'm going to be streaming
Oh.
from the event.
Okay.
I've got marketing folks there. I might be involved in a keynote. We're going to find out about that. Thank you, Aiden
Thank
Wallace,
you.
for the link.
Yeah.
If we get there, I will dye it rainbow as a salute to all the folks out there, all the viewers, all of our pair programmers on Twitch. So
Amazing.
help me out. Tell your friends, tell your families, tell your pets. Sign up for Twitch. Give me a follow and have some fun with us writing code together.
Yeah.
Not just over there, but also on Twitch Dev.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that we have Rainbow Kappas coming in for that.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
great.
That is nice.
So some folks have said I've got to use one of my emote slots for a rainbow beard.
You do.
Well, now you have a few more. I
I have a few more. Somebody was suggesting putting a rainbow beard on the bot, my bot emote.
Rainbow
That's
beard
another
on the
good
bot.
idea.
Oh, that is
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, got to do one or the other. I feel.
Yeah, and right, everyone needs a hype emote, right?
Yeah, I feel like that's a good one to have.
So do I make the bot hold a little sign that says hype?
Well, I only get one emote. Which
you're
is
you're
awkward.
staff. You get
Yeah.
as many as you.
it doesn't
No,
work that
that's
way.
not how it
unfortunately.
works.
Like,
Yeah.
We all have to work our way there. So,
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. for
Tell
sure.
your pets. Absolutely, Code Therapist. Make sure. Bob Barker would say, make sure your
Technically-
dog's spayed or neutered and following me on Twitch.
Whoa. Okay, let's move to the next section.
All right. I was gonna say we have another.
We do.
All right.
So,
All right.
this one is a fun one.
Yeah?
These have all been fun. Come on.
Well, this is like the most fun.
The other ones were painful.
Okay.
The other
yeah,
ones
yeah.
were like fun. But
Okay.
This is like really fun.
Lay it on me, Matt. What do we
Okay.
got?
Okay, Stream Deck tricks. So
this is fun.
So specifically, I want to hear about your hotkeys and the scripts you've been writing.
Sure.
Maybe you could even turn the Stream Deck around.
Not just turn it around. I can probably show.
Could you show the visual interface?
Yeah, the
Okay.
app. Yeah,
That
Oh
would
my
be
gosh.
great. See,
Oh,
that's
man,
why
we
you
made
need
it
a
difficult
headset.
for you.
Like-
How would you like us to assist?
How can we do this thing?
Let me come around.
Where's our
Let's
stage
see.
hand?
Oh, what can we do here? I can go. I don't
And
have
Alka,
my.
how do
I don't
I
have
have
my
3
plugins
emotes?
installed here. My gosh, look at this.
Yeah.
But I am a big fan for putting together all kinds of sound effects. So if I share my screen.
Well, I would like to hear the sound effects.
Well, but you can't. It's not
All we
wor-
need to do, I think, is enable audio through HDMI.
I don't want to mess with
Okay.
the
Nah,
studio
don't go
while
there.
we're- Yeah.
That's
So
a
We'll
thing.
go to Jeff.
I think
You're
you
on
just
your
have to-
screen.
So we're on that screen. So there's a weird DPI thing that I haven't figured out
This
with the
is what it
Stream Deck
looks
when I
like.
go back and forth. This is a high DPI monitor.
Ooh, but it's very small.
It's very, very small. I know. I'm like, how do we make that bigger? And I can't make it bigger because it's high DPI, and now all the fonts are
Wait, we can't
messed
make
up.
this bigger?
No.
Okay. Well,
See,
I can
you-
try and
Try plugging it in and out.
Did you try turning it off and on?
No, but actually,
no.
I think it's recognizing.
It's like a resolution thing.
You
Okay.
can't mirror
So
it.
do it live. What could
But
happen? So
it's a
I actually
capture
have
card.
Bill O'Reilly with the Do It Live, right? Because some of those sound bites are like 2 seconds. So you're not going to hit DMCA.
Oh,
on that,
right. Yeah.
It's like 30 seconds minimum to DMCA. So
Yeah. I think
They
that's-
are saying Windows plus.
Windows
Star.
Plus, well, that's the zoom, right? If I zoom,
Should we go back?
right?
I'll go back.
Ooh, it's better
right?
than nothing.
Did you know that? That's a thing.
Not know that.
Windows Plus zooms
It's
in,
better than nothing.
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So, right, I've got all my sound effects lined up. Let me minimize the magnifier. Everybody needs a Ric Flair woo. And, right, Shia LaBeouf yelling, do it, that kind of thing.
What's the Breaking Bad one?
Yeah, absolutely. So
What is
that's,
that? I'd love to hear
that's,
that.
you can't hear it, man.
Sorry,
let me see
I
if
did not
I,
set up the HDMI.
What does he
correctly.
say though? Because that's important.
can I get it?
No,
Maybe? Hang
it
on.
won't. You have to tell your sound.
No,
to your
no,
notebook.
no,
But
no.
Anyway, what does it say?
It's it can be done exactly how I want to be done. The only question is, are you the man to do it? Right? And of course you
Oh,
got to have
yeah.
the Liam Neeson, you know, I have a very particular set of skills.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I've got that George Takei with the oh my, and Owen Wilson saying wow, right? Whenever something cool happens, wow.
I love that you're using the photos of
Yeah,
the
right?
characters and
I
celebrities.
don't want to have to read anything. I can just zoom
Right.
in
Yeah.
and know exactly what
That's
it is.
very nice.
But I've got all my OBS settings lined up so that I've got the various scenes, but I've got these groups set up here for starting streaming.
Mm-hmm.
So I can jump right in and have it tweet announce the stream, wait a half a second, change my name on Twitter. And this is one that a lot of folks ask me about is how do you change your name on Twitter? There's a button on the Stream Deck to do it, and I just rename myself to
Yeah.
Live Jeff
We
Fritz.
were exploring this.
Can
last
you
night.
actually check if it worked for Twitch Dev?
What do you mean?
I added that.
We never got the keys.
What?
No, it does. It goes
No,
out
it's
to
in-
Twitter,
it's in I pushed this button and it should have done
right? So if you navigate
Oh, I see what
to
you're saying. Everyone go to
it. Everyone go to
Twitter.com
/Twitch
Twitch
Dev,
yep, there you go.
and
Oh, it
no,
didn't
it didn't
happen.
work. It does not say we're
So
live.
Sirius now is asking which
Aw.
technology are we using for sending
Wait,
the
that's
streams to all
annoying.
clients watching. We're using Twitch to send to everybody watching Twitch.
Unless, yeah.
Wow, Fossabot. I forgot we have Fossabot on here now. This is the first stream with Fossabot,
Okay.
by the way.
There you go.
Great.
Ohmbot is gone. That's why links are working. Anyway,
Sure.
we had an issue with our bot.
It's
well,
magic.
mod.
Yeah.
It's a mod. Oh, you have. I see what's happening here.
So that's why our Twitter's there. But it didn't
But-
work.
Okay. That's fine. I was experimenting with it before we went live.
Verified Twitter user cannot change names.
Oh no.
Is it because we're
Oh,
verified?
yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Why can't they change names?
Well, yeah.
Because
that-
then you're telling
I
people you're
totally
somebody
get that.
different.
Yeah.
Do-
That's
is
a
that?
good
Can we
point.
double check that, chat?
No, that makes
Oh, is
sense.
that
You can't
true?
be-
That makes sense.
Because I feel like I know a lot of people who are verified who stream.
Nah.
But
you
they
can't
don't-
be
but I
Twitch
don't know.
Dev and suddenly now you're Donald Trump.
Yeah,
It doesn't
yeah,
work
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But okay, that's good
Okay.
to know, though.
So,
I
but
didn't know that.
the multi actions are hugely powerful. I've seen folks that have
Yeah.
done things with their OBS scenes where they'll turn right, not just start the stream, but then they'll use transitions
You're a
where
little
it's
far away now from the mic.
Wait, can we
There
go
you go.
through though the screen? I'd love to actually understand what you're doing when you start.
So this is actually a little bit older version of it. I've tweaked it out a little bit more. So I tweet and announce the stream starting now on Twitch.
Got it. I see that.
And then I pause for half a second. And then I change my name on Twitter to put the live in front of it because I'm not verified. I'm not cool like that with a check mark on Twitter.
I was gonna say,
I'm only cool like that with a check
there.
mark on Twitch.
Yeah, one at a time.
That's right. And then I pause for another half second, and then I actually start the stream. Now, I've updated this on my home machine where I also start my sound, start my welcome music, set my scene to the intro scene, and then I pause 3 seconds, and I automatically throw a welcome into the chat room. Hey, good morning, chat. It's great to see you, whatever. So all of that is automated. It isn't me actually typing in the chat room. Sorry, chat. That's I've been unmasked now. So that's when I start the stream, and then I wrote another one to make sure that I shut everything down at the end.
Right.
Right, and that's, come on, open up here. And that I stop the stream, I wait, and I change my name back. But I've also added into this, turn off the mics. Right, go to all my audio sources and shut those off.
Oh, that's
because
very nice.
How many people have we seen where it didn't actually shut off streaming, and you're still broadcasting.
Yeah.
So
crossed my mind. I'm not sure if I did that for our outro tonight or today. So
we'll find out.
We'll find out.
Don't say anything.
Yeah, don't say anything after we're done.
But
yeah, you never know. You can easily make those mistakes.
If one of those steps fails, having that backup, right? That consistency of maybe it ends on my closing slide. Fine. I can then go back and turn it off if it didn't work. Or maybe it just turned off and it didn't reset my Twitter handle. Fine, no big deal. So having those backups are hugely valuable.
Totally.
I have the rescue keys sitting here so that I can start and stop my stream, and I can also turn on and off all the audio coming in from my mixer. Because just like you said, John, at home where I've got my USB mixer coming in, I've only got one audio feed.
Yeah.
So turn everything off there, turn everything back on. So that's that's a nice way to go through and configure OBS, and then I've got all my music that I play in the background. I play what's called Music to Code By. Have you guys heard of this, Music to Code By?
No.
As a playlist on Spotify?
It's not a playlist.
Okay.
This is something that a guy in the .NET community, he has a podcast. He was studying how you get in the flow, right? When you get in the zone, when you're writing code, and you get uber focused. You completely forget to even have dinner or lunch or
That's never happened to me.
breakfast also. And then you suddenly look up and it's like 12 hours later. You're like, look at all this stuff I finished, but man, I'm hungry.
Right.
When you get in that state of flow, there's music that can help you get there if it's at a certain beats per minute.
Oh, okay.
Right? So he talked to some folks, some engineers who had studied this, and he started writing music that adheres to that. So he wrote music, these songs that are 25 minutes long. So it's about the length of a Pomodoro if you do the Pomodoro technique.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
I'll come back to that if you don't know what that is. And you listen to it, and everything kind of melts away, and you get so focused on things. So I have all my songs that I've got from him on that, and you can go out and buy these songs. They're a couple bucks each. He also has an app. You can get a subscription, whatever. But they're really great, and I've got them all queued up here, so I can just kick them right off and have them playing the whole time in the background.
Yeah.
So we get focused, and it's got a nice smooth vibe, and it really gets folks focused and in the.
Nice.
That's
yeah,
cool.
just in the zone.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And Music to Code By? Is
Music
that what
to
it's
Code By,
Okay.
yeah.
I think someone's asking, what is this song? Could someone put that in chat?
Could somebody? Yeah, it's mtcb.pwop.com. That's
Dot
weird.
what?
Yeah, PWOP. PWOP.
Pwop?
Yeah, MTCB. I'm gonna put it over here on my channel.
Okay,
Someone
great.
go
So
to
we'll
Jeff's
see
channel and move it over to our channel.
Oh, there it is.
Wow.
Aiden's got
Wow,
it.
Aiden,
There
you
you
are
go. Thank you,
fast.
Aiden.
TCB.
Yeah.
You got
you
another
got
subscription.
Got another, look at that. Twitch Prime from Johan. Thank you so much, Johan. Appreciate that. So yeah, mtcb.pwop.com. Music to Flow By is their app, and there's 3 songs you can
okay.
download for free. He named them
try
after
that out.
colors, so you can get blue, orange, and yellow.
Interesting.
Are they? Do they feel very? Is it instrumental
Yeah,
and kind
it's
of
all
ambient?
instrumental, very ambient, very groovy.
Okay.
So I'll show you where you can
That's
download
fun.
them a little bit later.
I do
and you'll like it.
That's the kind
They're
of
pretty
music
good.
that I like to listen to when I'm just like in the zone.
Yes,
My
right?
wife calls that whale music.
Okay.
Because there's random sounds, and she's like, "Are you
Whale
listening
music?
to whale music?"
Oh no.
It's not the top 40 or anything like that.
Yeah.
But she's like, "What are you listening to?" And I'm like, "I didn't even realize I was listening to it,
Exactly.
because you're just like focused in on it."
It's
So.
funny. It's music you listen to not hear it.
Right.
It's
It's
like,
like white noise.
it's
but
very similar to white
expensive
noise.
white noise.
Nah.
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say more because white noise is just static across, right?
Yeah.
This is more like, I don't know. There's
Enter
almost
the
like an
zone.
emotion
Sure,
to
sure,
it.
sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
So, can you stream them if you buy them? You're gonna have to ask. You're gonna have to ask the artist. His name is Carl Franklin, and that's gonna be a licensing discussion with him. So long time ago, before I started, had that discussion, and he was very accommodating. Said, sure,
That's great.
Let folks know about it and send them my way, and absolutely. So every time I start, I throw out a little 30-second thank you to Carl.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Definitely, attribution is so not only nice but so important.
Yes,
for a lot of the artists, a lot of the artwork we have done.
Yeah. Absolutely.
absolutely.
Are there other elements in the Stream Deck that we wanted to go over?
Yes.
or-
Last thing that I do want to show you is I have a different setting. I mentioned, I might not have it loaded up in this profile. I'm not going to try and load it. I had a different setup. I might be able to show this. Let me see if I back out. I had a blog post over here. Yeah. So what's great about the Stream Deck also is that with how it automates so much of the interaction with OBS, I actually ran a 24-hour conference live over Twitch. And that's great because Twitch is the great
fantastic.
equalizer because you've got the video drops available in every time zone all over the continents. So to stream to Twitch and have it accessible to everybody, I was able to bring in speakers from every continent. And we rotated hosts. But when I brought in other hosts,
right.
they don't know how to run OBS. They don't know how to do these things.
Yeah.
So I put together, like you see here on the screen, a simple set of buttons on the Stream Deck
Yeah.
so that they could click through whatever hour it was they were broadcasting.
Oh, wow.
And down on the bottom corner, they could see it doesn't have any numbers on it, but the heads on the bottom left and the second from bottom left are Twitch and Mixer, so you can see how many people are watching on both. Nobody was watching on Mixer, by the way. And but you could click into the appropriate folder for their time period.
I see.
And they would see, well, here's the folks that are broadcasting. So you click the first button, and we'll show the intro video for that person. And then you click the next button, and it'll cut to Philip.
Wow.
And then when you're done, we had a 5-minute bumper video, a commercial from a sponsor that we would cut to.
Yep.
So we could transition in the next speaker. Right? Because nobody likes to see what you're struggling with whatever over here. So you click the bottom one and it would play the .fu or the Dev Express or the Nostis commercial. And it would cut through and you'd prep the next person. And then I had the rescue microphones on the left so you could turn on and off the remote person's microphone or the studio's microphone.
Yeah.
Easy. So
You make it so easy.
exactly, make it easy enough, and that's the beauty of a device like this is we've taken very complex things that we've spent a lot of time setting up and made it drop dead simple for the non-technical folk, the muggles who are intimidated by getting in and seeing all the configuration of OBS or managing all the different pieces of a stream. Make it easy, just a button away, and you've given them directions. Just go top to bottom. So,
So is that the end of the tips and tricks segment?
Yeah.
Sure.
Unless anyone wants to see our Stream Deck situation, which is not I
Yeah,
don't
let
have
us
the
know in
app,
chat
So-
if you want to see it, because we can just switch the capture to the display.
No, it's fine. I mean, I can just hold it up. Sorry, what were you going to say, Jeff?
no, I was going to say they're also doing Stream Deck now has plugins available. So folks are writing plugins to do all kinds of different things.
You're writing plugins.
We're writing plugins on my stream to control smart home devices. We wrote something to control a Wemo. Somebody else is writing something to control a Philips Hue light.
Wait
but-
a second. That'd really be
Go
interesting
ahead.
just for like, a house.
Yeah, you don't even need it for streaming.
Yeah, forget streaming.
Exactly.
It could be home automation.
Yeah,
honestly.
wait.
Yes, right?
That's like the best smart remote.
Okay,
Anyway.
okay. People are saying
Exactly.
show
Would
them
anyone want to
decks.
see ours though?
So yeah, so
They
I
do.
will.
Why don't we
which
show on the
camera?
computer?
But then you got to walk over
Well, I
there.
don't.
We're
we
all
don't have
sitting
it set.
here.
I'll just use it on the cameras.
oh.
It's not going to be the highest quality here, but let's put on the Jeff cam, and then I'll see if I.
that's me.
Oh, I have to disconnect
you're
here.
gonna need to borrow that mic.
No, it's fine. I'll just hold it up, and you can say what's going on.
But I don't know what's going on.
It's down here for the different camera views. This is lower thirds. This is the countdown outro.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait. So what am I doing?
Just explain what's.
Okay. So
There they are.
well, it's probably self-explanatory a little bit, but we have the bottom row. So when we did the 3-cam view is all of us out here. The one we're currently on is
There you go.
So we can just maybe show them by clicking it.
So you put all your
That's-
OBS interactions on the bottom. So you've got that anchor. So you know, okay, here's where my camera changes are. They're right there on the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And then what do you have on the top row there, John?
Top row, I'm going to be careful of. We have to start the stream, end the stream.
So you start and end the stream. Okay, that makes sense. A power icon. Okay, I get it.
How many people are watching? If we had, this is just the media. If we had like Pretzel Rocks playing.
Okay, so you can start and stop the sound with
The
that
music.
that one. Okay,
Mute the mixer.
That's an emergency mute.
right. We need to cut out
We
something
need to
bad's
just
happening.
something-
Cool.
And
Okay.
then this is a countdown scene. So if you know the Twitch Dev npm install kind of countdown, that does that scene. And then this is the outro. We'll click at the end. And
Cool.
then this button here is the lower thirds. So if we're on the true camera and I hit this one, it'll give the lower thirds.
Yeah, isn't that it's neat. Not only do you have the control over which scene is being displayed, but you also have the control over what media, what entries or sources you can
different sources, yeah.
display them and hide those appropriately. So Potato Quality approves of the deck. Well,
Great.
I trust Potato Quality. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then you have like you had mentioned profiles, but we should say that what they are is you can have different sets of saved settings for the Stream Deck. So this is the save setting I have for Twitch Dev, but like when we do our own streams, we have profiles set in there for our own like personal streams as well.
So what I like to do as well, right? Not only do I have a profile for the Stream Deck, but when I'm on the road, I have a different profile for the Stream Deck for on the road.
Right.
That matches an on-the-road profile for OBS.
Okay.
So I just light those two up, and now they match, and all the buttons for OBS on Stream Deck match up with those different settings that I have inside of OBS.
Got it.
And if folks are wondering where they can get a Stream Deck, you are raffling one off
We gave all
every
of
now
ours
and then?
away.
Oh.
We did our thing. I had 3 to give away thanks to the very generous folks at Elgato.
Yeah.
There's a link on one of my blog posts to go and grab one of them. Of course, you can order them through Amazon, and they'll be delivered to your house in just a few days.
Yeah.
If you have your Twitch Prime, Amazon Prime subscription, right?
Which can also be used on your channel.
Which can also be used on anybody's channel. Operators are standing by.
Anyway, so I think we only have a few more minutes left, so why don't
Okay.
we open it up to final Q&A, and then we'll do our last announcements.
Are you able to press buttons without having a Stream Deck? Click with the mouse buttons? No.
You can just download the software and not have the physical device, right?
But
Or no?
it won't activate what the button does when you
Yeah.
click on it in the software.
Oh, okay.
So,
got it.
However, one thing that we see that as a developer who's building plugins, that's something that you want to be able to do. So we actually wrote an emulator using Node.js so that we could have a way to load up a plugin that we're developing and actually press the buttons, do those events of the buttons being pressed, it's being released, and what that does and interact with it, inspect the state of the messages being passed back and forth. As a developer, that's kind of important to be able to inspect without having to go through having a piece of hardware and all that stuff. And we think that's going to lead to doing some continuous integration work where every time we build the device, you know what? Here's our sample plugins that use the emulator. Let's make sure they continue working with our tools.
Yeah.
So then we can test the sample plugin does the correct interactions when the buttons are pressed automatically without having a device.
So you mentioned that it's key down and key up So
Yeah.
could you emulate or could you program a long press?
Yes. So that's a great transition there, John. Thank you so much. Great segue.
Okay.
So the
Dig it.
one of the plugins that I was working on was a way to run unit tests
Mm-hmm.
for my project and have a button that just shows me red or green, whether they passed or failed, and maybe a number that shows how many passed or how many failed.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually measure if you hold down the button for 5 seconds, because button's being held down,
Right.
button's being released, kick off the unit test, start processing.
Oh.
Or if you hold it down, stop processing.
I would love that for this end stream button that I don't want it to even
Yeah.
go
It's,
anywhere
there should
near.
be like some sort of
Yeah.
Right, if you press it quickly,
Yes.
Yeah.
almost like a confirmation. Did you really want to stop?
Right.
That's what
But
it
if you
should
hold
be.
it down for 3 seconds, okay.
Yeah. Pushes
Stop.
through. Yeah.
Yeah, I
like
like
that.
that.
Very nice.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
Somebody make that.
Yeah, I'd love
and
that.
tweet it at us so we can use it.
Well, because I can just imagine so many things. It's like I'm holding down and PogChamps go flying until I let go, or
Oh my gosh, that'd be great.
Yeah, all sorts of
Yes.
things. Yes, got the pull request. Hold down PogChamp, and they go flying
Yeah,
everywhere.
that would
And then when you
Cool.
release it, stops.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, we can do all these things.
Yes. Alka asking, where can you get the emulator? If you head over to GitHub in the Fritz and Friends organization, there's a link to it. Some of our friends that are in chat, Auth Zero Bobby, we saw, and there you go.
Wow.
The toolkit is the library. There's Stream Deck emulator in that organization on GitHub as well.
Oh. Talk to Me Gooseman says we need this feature for air horn. I don't think it's possible. It should not be technically possible to use the long press
Yeah.
for air horn.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
However, the sensor bleep,
Yeah.
that's not a bad idea.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
To
You got
censor
somebody-
mute, hold the
Yeah.
mute for the sensor.
Or just to do message deleted.
yes. There we go. Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brave
see what it
Cobra has
was.
the link to the emulator. There you go, in both channels.
But
Thank you so
posted in
much,
both
Brave
channels.
Cobra.
Oh, it is in both channels. Cool.
Yeah,
Great.
but it doesn't actually, it won't do anything with the device. It won't play music. It won't do your OBS sound changing, but it'll help you program a plugin.
Got
And
it.
not just using my toolkit that our folks have been working with in C# and .NET, but if you were to bring any kind of compiled exe plugin for the Stream Deck, it'll work with that
Yeah.
as well.
Cool. One other thing that I wanted to mention or talk about.
One more thing.
One more thing.
We have time.
We had mentioned in other conversations about doing some interesting Twitch extensions
Oh,
for
yes.
development.
Oh my gosh.
So I'd love to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah.
So around software development, how do we do things on Twitch so that it can be more interactive? How do we get folks chatting and involved? Now, our friend Clark.io in the Twitch dev chat, he's been working on a great plugin, and I think he's shipped it at this point for Visual Studio Code, so that folks in the chat can highlight lines of code.
Yeah, I was using that in one of his streams this week or last week.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Wait, we did, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that's a great step. That gets folks involved and they can point out things. I've also been working on a similar plugin for Visual Studio 2017, and it's going to work in 2019. It is in the VS Code
Great.
marketplace. Fantastic. Visual Studio is a much older and crazier extension ecosystem to work
Okay.
in, because there's
I'll
some
have to
old
take your word
COM
for it.
things in there that you just don't want to touch.
Okay.
And there's things like unused API 5 as a property hanging out there. It's like, what do I do with that?
Okay.
Anyways, but we've been working on and I haven't touched it in about 2 months, but we're working on a plugin where folks can, in chat, send code and it appears in the to-do list on mine. There's the
that
Twitch
one. Yeah,
highlighter
yeah.
from Clark.io. Yeah.
They
Thank
get
you for
those.
sharing that. Hugo and Danny Camp's games. So, Visual Studio, full Visual Studio is a little bit more of a challenge to build against, and we're almost there. It's almost complete and ready to ship, and we've held off on that because we got completely enamored with the Stream Deck. I saw the SDK come out for that, and I was like, I need to build on this. This is really neat.
Yeah.
And Brian was already doing a great job with the Visual Studio Code one. I'm like, you know what? Let Brian do his thing. Get that finished. That is phenomenal. I'm going to play with the Stream Deck and do some neat things over here, get folks supported with that. So
Yeah, that's
really
great.
great stuff to see. And that interaction, once we get past having the ability to highlight from chat, Well, the next one is a Twitch extension. Let's plug that into these facilities that connect into us as developers writing code, so that maybe I have that ability while I'm looking at the video. If I could click at that specific spot on screen, translate that into, well, it's line 12 that we see from Brian, and then send that back to highlight in Visual Studio Code.
Very nice. Yeah. I'm looking forward to more and more things like that getting built out, because you already have people that, like you mentioned, they're putting code in chat. Well, what if they could just put the code right in the code?
Yeah, get it to me.
Right.
Give it to me. Send that. It's just text.
Yeah.
Send it over to me and put it into my editor somewhere.
Well, that was sort of what we were doing with Glitch. I was granting a few people access, and they were actually coding right in there, which was really cool.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to talk more about those extensions and hopefully get those going.
Well, yeah,
it's coming.
You could do all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So you could be like, I will give you 200 bits to just put this code right here.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh, wait a second. Like bounties for code functions.
Okay. All right.
interesting.
I like where you're going.
I like that.
Yeah, got to throw bits in there, you know.
Sure,
that's a
absolutely.
great way. I mean, even if it's not bits, you could do a lot of things in extensions where you're tracking everything through the extension. Whereas you may miss if you were doing just something straight through Glitch, which I love Glitch,
Yes.
but I'm just
No,
saying
I agree.
you have more control.
I'd like to be able to like
there.
approve it, kind of like Google Docs suggestion mode.
Yeah.
Yes. They're right. The challenge with Glitch, Google Docs, Visual Studio Live Share is folks have complete access to what you've shared with them.
I know.
Right.
And if I'm sharing a big JavaScript project or a big C# project, they could be hiding off somewhere else, dropping in malware.
Ugh,
I don't want
I
that.
didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Does my chatbot have malware?
You don't want that. And I like what Smab is suggesting. I'm waiting for Live Share to have selective edit capabilities. That's
Have you told them?
Our friends on that team do watch a Twitch stream or two.
Okay.
So I'm if they haven't seen it, we can absolutely drop them a clip and they'll listen. Yeah.
I don't know what Aiden's referring to.
He's saying your bot project is too small to have malware or malware.
Ooh, that's funny.
Talk to Me Gooseman. So a promotion that I do on my stream, Talk to Me Gooseman's pointing out, when someone cheers more than 100 bits on my stream, I actually create what I call cheer graffiti. And whatever code I'm working on, or the next piece of code that I work on, I write a little comment in there and I write, thank you, Talk to Me Gooseman, for 100 bits on this date. And it stays there. So I'm at a point now where I've got all these comments in various projects. I want to mine them out and be able to put some sort of a supporters file in my GitHub repositories that says, you know what, these are the folks who have supported this project. And
what about some
credit.
system that just scans through your code, like in the linting process, and picks out? Is that what you were saying?
That's exactly where I'm going, Matt.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Because then
so
it can
I
be
started
like,
a little bit of that,
okay.
and we're getting there. But to have a Cheers leaderboard per month, Twitch already provides that, and it's really nice. That it's right there, it's at the top of chat. But what I want to be able to do is thank those folks in the project.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. That's great.
So it shows these are the folks in the project who have supported, and it also says, you know what, come join us over on Twitch, and you'll learn a little bit more about this project when we're working on it. So it becomes two-way support.
Yeah.
Nice.
Totally. Well, should we call the stream at that?
Is it time? Is it that time?
Yeah, I think we had a few announcements. But aside from that, I saw, John, you wrote a few in.
I did?
Yeah.
What did I say?
We have announcements.
Not you?
Oh, I wouldn't say those are announcements. The calls to action are
calls to
follow
action.
Jeff.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Please,
yes.
I appreciate all the follows, of course.
Yeah.
And I do a thing. I don't keep subs or cheers that come into my channel. This quarter, I'm donating all of my sub revenue. I'm donating all my cheer revenue to Black Girls Code.
That's
so
very cool.
they're a great organization that help teens, younger women of color, to learn how to write code. Let's help them. Let's enable them. And
that's awesome.
I'm thankful for the cheers and subs, but I also want to be able to pay it forward and help some folks who don't have some of the facilities we have.
That's awesome to hear. Appreciate that for sure. And
like Carrie right there, we're gonna make a donation to
Look
Black
at
Girls
there.
Code. Thanks so much over on my
right
channel.
Awesome. So definitely follow Jeff. I don't know if you have a specific schedule that you want to call out.
Tomorrow I'll be streaming at 10. Same thing on Friday I'll be streaming at 10. But Friday afternoon, Eastern time, I'm actually working with some friends from the Dev Intersection Conference, and we're going to have a couple of the speakers from that event streaming with us, answering questions about a couple different topics on a new channel we just stood up at Dev Intersection on Twitch.
Okay.
So these are folks in the conference business getting into Twitch, want to do more live streaming and bring their event, technical training, to the platform.
I like that.
It's very, very cool. Svava, thank you for that cheer as well. And I'll make another donation to Black Girls Code.
And we have the banner up if you want to see our Twitter accounts. You can follow us as well as our own Twitch channels.
Yep.
Aside from that, I did have 2 announcements. So one is we will be live tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern for Twitch Dev Weekly.
Yes, got to tune in.
Yeah,
must-watch TV.
We'll have another stream for that.
Stream tomorrow.
We're going to try to focus on building like your first extension. So if you haven't built an extension before, recommend tuning in. And we're also looking for guests to come on the show. We're trying to have a guest on that show every now and then to engage with the community. So I think I reached out on Twitter for that. And then
Valentine's Day edition. There's a great topic. Alka, that's a great topic for an extension tomorrow. Oh my gosh. To be able to do something heart or love themed for how much you love the broadcaster as an extension. Not planting any ideas, but I think Alka's got a great idea.
I saw one for Christmas. You could give like a Christmas tree extension.
Okay.
So similar, yes, Altuar's Christmas tree. So I'm assuming he has also done one for Valentine's Day.
Altuar, if you're on here. And then the other announcement that the marketing team sent us a message about is that the Dev Tour was announced today. So that is now public.
Okay.
And I guess we'll talk more about that tomorrow. But
sure, we'll give you more information.
That's out there.
On that.
In
but
Europe.
I mean, people know now there's more details of TwitchCon Europe.
We're doing a dev tour. So we launched a dev tour in Europe. We're stopping in a few cities. More cities will be announced, it seems. And
TwitchCon Europe is in Berlin this year?
It is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's April?
Yes.
What is it?
April 12th and 13th.
13th. And then there'll be a developer tour surrounding that.
Fantastic.
So if you want to meet the Twitch Dev team and get swag.
The developers on Europe are amazing.
Don't forget swag. We've got swag.
No, I agree. I feel like so many of people that we work with are more in Europe than any other place.
Yes. So
they are.
We're making a lot of stops there.
And we still want to be able to reach out to other places. We want to make sure we reach out to the folks in Australia, South America, African folks that want to join in and participate. We want to make sure that they get access as well.
Yep. So we're trying to visit people, and I guess just follow Twitch Dev on Twitch for more Go Live messages.
Migrate TV, do they read the chat or what?
We do.
No, we don't read the chat at all. Migrate, not at all.
We do not read the chat.
And with that, I think we will sign out.
Sounds good. Jeff, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Great.
I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it a lot. All right. Thank you, everyone. Take care and have a great day.
See ya.